Welcome to day 522 of our Web3 journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein, here with my twin brother Brian. And remember, these videos are being sponsored by NFT Tech. They are an investor in the Web3 mobile app DeSoFi. So, Brian, the FBI has a request for DeFi platforms.
Yeah, so the FBI asked yesterday that DeFi platforms, which is decentralized finance platforms, increase security measures around their platforms, around their protocols, and they warned crypto investors against possible vulnerabilities of within these DeFi platforms, namely uh, bridges. So bridges that act as automatic ways to transfer assets. But they said the FBI said that between January of this year and March of this year alone, cyber criminals stole over $1.3 billion in cryptocurrency. Uh, Almost 97%, around 97% or so, uh, was stolen from DeFi platforms. So pretty much all, very close to all of the cryptocurrency stolen in that 3 month period earlier this year was due to uh, DeFi. And this includes a $650 million exploit of the Ronin Bridge, which happened earlier this year and really got a lot of media attention. But I think that this isn't really a negative. The fact that the FBI is going after the exploiters and warning Americans to be careful that you aren't exploited rather than going after DeFi itself says a lot. But yeah, be careful out there. There's lots of scams within the crypto space, but DeFi is just the latest, I guess, the latest area that scammers are kind of drawn to.
Yeah, I mean, we could be seeing the FBI going after DeFi platforms saying, we're shutting you guys down. You're facilitating helping facilitate these scammers, scam people, so we're going to shut you down. So I think it's a really positive sign that they're just warning them to kind of amp up their security in order to help prevent this. And I think overall it just shows that, you know, these platforms are being legitimized by the US government.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving to the DeSo blockchain, I made a really long post yesterday about some things that I'm optimistic about and some things that are a bit concerning to both of us as we head into like the, I guess, the 18th month of DeSo or so. But I know we're very optimistic about DeSo, and we talk a lot about DeSo and why we think it's going to be a very influential platform within the Web3 space. But that doesn't mean we don't have concerns. So first, I want to just quickly touch on the things that I'm optimistic about. And it's might be hard to be optimistic, especially in this crypto winter. The DeSo price hit like $5.50. It was at one point $200. So being optimistic might be tough. But I think that them hiring a new chief operating officer could be important. It could kind of shift the direction of DeSo, allow Natter to have a better, more opportunity to work on what he loves, and that is, of course, building and coding. And I think that a COO would actually jumpstart any marketing campaign. And if the COO has a background and is somewhat known within the social space, I think that would be big because it could generate some buzz. Uh,
I also think it could go the other way too. If they hire somebody that's not well known, somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience, it could kind of be a downer for DSO.
oh, absolutely. Also, MetaMask. I'm really bullish on MetaMask integration, and this is coming very soon. I think it's within a week or two. And what this will do is allow for easy onboarding of Ethereum users. And there's hundreds of thousands of Ethereum wallets out there that could almost instantaneously create a DeSo account. And this really opens things up for DeSo developers. I know NFTZ, we're looking forward to this because it's going to allow us to easily integrate with the Ethereum blockchain and bring collectors and artists over. So that's going to be big. I really am looking forward to MetaMask integration. I think it can
Yeah,
do a lot for DeSo.
you say it can do a lot for DSO developers. I also think it can do a lot for Ethereum developers, people who are building on Ethereum. they now have this ability to bring social into their apps, into their websites, and allow for the social layer on top of what they're already doing, still using that MetaMask in order to connect users' accounts.
Absolutely. Uh, and finally, I think possible partnerships, that really gives me a lot of hope. I think that if DeSo can start reaching out, maybe hiring someone full time just to reach out and tackle partnerships. And by partnerships, I mean teaming with projects, whether they're new, whether they're already established, and having those projects integrate DeSo in some way. I mean, basically, anybody with a website could integrate DeSo and instantly add on-chain immutable identity, social features, and follow graphs quite easily because everything's right there. And it really, if they can really pull in a few larger partners, like take for instance, I talked about this before. There's this platform or this I guess you could say like a plugin for websites called Discuss, which allows for commenting on like news articles, on blog posts. Imagine if they could do something like that where they could partner with, say, ESPN, and every article on ESPN would have integrated commenting, and those comments could just be run on the DeSo blockchain. Like that would be huge. It would instantly open things up to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of users. And that's just one possible partnerships. There's literally tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of possibilities out there. And I think that integrating MetaMask could also open up a lot of possibilities for partnerships within the crypto space.
Yeah, definitely. And ESPN, like you said, they could partner with DeSo and show comments. Maybe they could have a bot account that actually post a link to the article on the DeSo blockchain, and those comments just show under that post, but they also show under the article on ESPN.com. There's so many different directions that larger companies could go with this. Whether or not it actually happens is yet to be seen. I think there is a lot of potential for it, but that requires work on the behalf of DeSo, and I think it probably requires somebody to have a sole job of working on DeSo partnerships. Also, partners with celebrities and influencers, I think, could be huge. If they could partner with a Jake Paul in order to start really heavily using DeSo, promoting it on his YouTube channel, promoting it on his YouTube videos. I think that's something that could be really huge as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that even paying some celebrities like to have a contract for a year where they make a certain amount of posts a week and interact with users, I think that wouldn't be a terrible idea if they can do that on a scale where maybe they have 10 or 20 big names come on board and start using DeSo. And you combine that with marketing, you combine that with, of course, other partnerships and integrations. And I think you might have a winning
You
idea
say 10
there.
or 20 though. How much do they have to pay these people? I don't see any like big time celebrity doing it for less than a couple million for a year to
I
take it.
mean, you get, what if you offered somebody $500,000 for a year to post like 4 times a week? I don't really think that's out of the question. I think that some celebrities would eat that up and say, hey, sure. And you have the other possibilities of earning more via the diamonds or via founder award and even NFTs that they decide to create. But moving on, I want to get to the things that do concern me. I'm just going to briefly go over these because I don't want to elaborate too much, but I do worry about them eventually running out of low on cash, not out of cash. They have about 80 to $100 million. This is a ton of money, of course, but they started with about 200 million. And it's not that they've been spending it, but the drop in Bitcoin that affected their treasury significantly. Like I said, that's a lot of money, but I worry that they're not going to run out of money, but they're going to run low, and then they're going to be unwilling to spend on some big things that could actually push things forward quickly. I know Nader probably wants to make sure that his runway is 5 to 10 years at least. He doesn't want to be running low on cash anytime soon. So it could get them more conservative. I hope that doesn't happen. I think now is the time to start spending and spending big and carry that over for a couple years. I also worry that Nader buying back some DeSo, which he mentioned. I think it's great if DeSo goes up, but if it keeps dropping and then they start running low on cash, which we don't know how much cash they actually have, whether it's in DeSo or cash. We don't really know for sure. We can only see how much Bitcoin they have, which I think it's 2,500 right now.
Yeah,
But
and also I
if
think that there's issues with buying back because it kind of centralizes things or it re-centralizes things. Whereas when you release this DSO in order to fundraise through VCs, it kind of decentralized everything in that different VCs, different individuals owned the DSO. But as you buy it back, it's like it's just becoming re-centralized, and I think you kind of want to get away from that.
Yeah, especially since we're moving towards proof of stake. I think that's definitely going to be true. So I just worry that him buying it back could really cut things short on a runway standpoint if DeSo doesn't go up anytime soon. Uh, but also I think that developers, I think we need to attract developers. And right now I feel that we're pushing them away. There's so many developers that have left. And although I am very optimistic and we're builders on the DeSo blockchain, of course, with NFTZ, we're optimistic, we're hopeful. I think that a lot of the developers that I've spoken to probably over the last 3 or 4 months, they're not so much. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the drop in user engagement and also the fact that the Octane Fund has kind of ceased to exist. They feel that they're not providing capital to new developers or even developers that might need an injection of capital. So that's probably the biggest one, is the developer issues. And I hope that they have a plan for this. I know they probably do. It's just waiting for it. And I think a lot of people are getting frustrated.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see that roadmap that Natter talked about, see what their actual plans are.
Yeah, and I think like I'm not going to touch on everyone, but other crypto projects that are involved in social. Uh, right now, in my opinion, DeSo is by far and away the most developed. I mean, I would say it's almost factual that they're the most developed. But I think as we move forward in the next like 6, 12, 18 months, we're going to see projects spawn from other blockchains like Ethereum, like Solana. There's, of course, Lens, which is a protocol, which is a layer two, uh, built on Polygon, I believe. And although these projects aren't even close to where DeSo is uh, right now, I do think that as we head into the next year or two, if DeSo isn't careful, I think there's potential that some of these platforms could take off and kind of leave DeSo behind. So spending is important. And DeSo
I,
has this huge advantage with money and with this early mover advantage. So just keep pushing forward and I think we'll be okay. But you gotta watch these other projects as well.
I'd argue that Lens isn't that too far off from DeSo. You said they're not even close to being where DeSo is. I think they are making progress, and I think they are getting closer. There are multiple apps built on Lens. Like you said, they're a layer two though. They're not a layer one, so that's going to inhibit them a little bit, I think. But they are making progress, and they are, I feel like they have gained more momentum than DeSo as of the last 6 months or so. So it's
Yeah,
going to
let
be
me
interesting to
clarify that.
watch.
Let me clarify that. So DeSo obviously has way more activity right now in a variety of ways. If you look at the number of transactions, DeSo blows it away. That doesn't mean that the capabilities of another protocol are far behind. And I think that's what's important. We have to make sure that we keep building DeSo, we keep building the social aspects of it. And I think there's been a lot of attention put on things like DAO and things like NFTs. And obviously we love NFTs on DeSo because we're building regarding it. But I think we got to concentrate on the social and we got to concentrate on bringing people here for the social. And if we don't do that, I think social is going to fade and maybe we'll become a DAO platform or something else. But we're not going to be taken serious on a social from a social standpoint if these other projects start gaining on us, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'll close it out there for that post. But there's some other news. You want to touch on that, Ed?
Yeah, so Desocial World, they have another feature update. It seems like Ado and Desocial World constantly adding new updates. Now on their node, if you go to desocialworld.com, you're going to be able to filter your notifications out. You can filter out mass targeting from your notifications. So now you're going to have a checkbox to either show or not show mentions with a max of 5 tags, or mentions with 6 or more tags. So maybe you don't want to see in your notifications posts that you were tagged in if if 6 or more people were also tagged in that post. It's kind of like a spam resistant thing. I know we do that in this video. We tag a lot of people in this video because we tag whoever we mention. So maybe you just don't want to see those. So you can now have that option to do that. I love what DeSocial World is doing. Their notification filtering is probably the best right now out there.
Yeah, and it might not be very useful right now, and to us it's very useful, but to people that aren't making a lot of posts and getting a lot of engagement. But I think as we head into the next year, and hopefully as engagement picks up and new users stream on, the social world is definitely in a position to kind of have the tools that people
Yeah.
are going to require.
Yeah, and Michelle Lore, she is now curating a new DeSo only GD virtual galleries, and she's doing that this week. If you own a photography by Michelle NFT, you're gonna get a free invitation when this gallery opens. I love what Michelle's doing. She's an OG of DeSo. We talk about her seems like every other show, maybe 2 out of every 3 shows. Awesome photographer, awesome person, awesome community member, and this is just one more thing that she is doing to help engage the DeSo community.
Yeah, I love what she's doing. Keep it up, Michelle. She's she's quickly becoming one of the more well-known people on DeSo.
Quickly
I
becoming, I think she's been one of the more well-known people
Yeah,
in DeSo.
but like she's getting lots of diamonds. She's getting lots of engagement. I think she's like the female version of us. She's probably going to overtake us pretty soon. I hope she does. Um, so I want to also move on to another DeSo OG, William Laurent. Uh, a few weeks ago, he interviewed us for an article he is going to be producing for Fast Blocks, which is the company he's working for right now. It's a blockchain based media company. And yesterday afternoon, he published an article. It's called Krasenstein, Banned from Twitter, Reborn on Web3. And he asked us a lot of really poignant questions, some questions that we've touched on before regarding some things in our past, but William did an amazing job at kind of conveying kind of what we've been through and what kind of shaped us into trying to push Web3 forward over these other platforms. And if you have time, definitely read it. The links below this video, as well as in the post on DeSo that we're making with the video.
Yeah, great article, William Laurent. Thanks for taking the time to interview us. And I'm looking forward to reading your future articles on Fast Blocks. I know you've done several articles. I try and keep up with all of them. We had you on the show just a few days ago, so keep it up.
Yeah, great writer. Uh, so the top 10 bidders of NFTs over the last 24 hours on the DeSo blockchain, according to NFTZ, are as follows: George T, Hatch Fund, Mr. Music, Studio Richards, CNZ PLL, Peking, Veshnasularin, Dragonstone, Robert Graham, and BitClout FR. And the top Diamond creators over the last 24 hours, according to our friends at Altumbase, these people received the most tips on the DeSo blockchain in the last day. The Brave Father, Lil Lover, Krasenstein, which is us, Michelle Lord, who I just talked about, Paulie Hart, Food Curator, Goldberry, Miami Japan, M. Her, and Clout Women Unite.
Congratulations to everyone. And there's several events today that are taking place geared around DeSo. Thanks to Miss Katie Ann once again for sending us this list, and you can get the links to all these events if you go to Miss Katie Ann's DeSo profile on Diamond or any other node. 10 a.m. Eastern Time is CryptoFi Weekly with Darian Parrish on Vibe Hut. Darian's awesome. He's so knowledgeable about crypto, and Crypto Weekly has found a new home on Vibe Hut. Vibe Hut's an awesome platform. Definitely check that out as well if you haven't already. At 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Web3 Simplified weekly webinar with John Jardin and Mr. Triplet, along with Sean Tron and many others, will be taking place on Entra. That's at joinentra.com. And at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, there's DeSo Alt Space Metaverse with Daryl Gold, Wildography, Dr. Rob, and Mr. Triplet. That's taking place again at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Alt VR. The event code is XRG514 if you're asked for it, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, new users welcome and walkthrough on Entra. That's with Sean Tron. Definitely check that out if you're a new user of Entra. You'll learn plenty of stuff. And I love what they're doing. They're constantly building new products on top of their platform. And that's all the news that we have for today. Everybody have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will talk to you tomorrow.